What should I do next? Maybe I'll just go drive for a while. It's kind of a nice day. This is a swank car. Fuck it. Hello, this is Aaron from AaronOnAutos.com, and today we're sitting in a 2018 Volkswagen Atlas R-Line. So Volkswagen in the Atlas, which is their biggest SUV now, and the special R-Line package, which launched towards the middle or the end of the year, I believe. So you see the little R. I had a Volkswagen Touring, so the Atlas Touring model, earlier this year, and didn't do an interior shaky cam, so I figured I will do one with this, which is roughly the same. This is not the same as a Touring. This is a one or two packages down from that, I believe. But the interior layout is basically the same in both, and this has a couple of upgrade options that don't come standard with the R-Line. If I can, I will try to remember what those are and point them out. Right now, I just realized that the climate is still on, and I have to turn it off, and I can't remember how to do that. All right, I just did it. So anyway, this is Volkswagen's largest and newest crossover SUV. It's pretty well done. It's a good family vehicle. A couple of things I'll point out as we go through it that are different in different models of this car. So, I think I already said that. Whatever. Anyway, here we go. Door locks and such, windows, mirrors, and whatnot. All of that's pretty self-explanatory. Same with the lighting down there. You can see the different settings, and if you pull on it, as that indicates right there, if you pull on this, it turns on the fog lamps. You can do that no matter what setting the rest of it is on, and it will turn them on. They do come on with the auto mode, I will point out, but only in certain lighting conditions. I don't know what those are, other than I did notice that they didn't come on every single time when the car was running in the dark. So, over here, you have your first of your vents. You notice how big it is. See, it's as big as the palm of my hand, and I have big hands. That's a good air mover right there. That right there is the defrost vent, so they're separate. Something that I always look for in a vehicle now, because it shows it's a good indication of the kind of time that was put into the interior design in terms of the ergonomics. If the airflow is not good, or if they require that you use this side vent to blow off the windows, you're dealing with a probably cheaply made vehicle. So, it means that they skimped, is what I'm trying to say. Looking at the steering wheel very quick, over here are your driver information and occasional infotainment controls. Down here, this moves back and forth between tracks and or channels on the radio. This changes menus, so you can see up there just really quickly that it changes the menus. We'll get a closer look at those in a minute. Here's your telematics, and here's your voice activation, so you can use this for voice commands. This moves up and down through those menus. It can also be used to move up and down through infotainment things on occasion. It's on and off as to whether or not you're doing something with that. Depends on, well, what exactly you're doing. Over here, you have your cruise control settings and your volume. So volume up and down right here. Set, reset, etc. This is pretty self-explanatory. The middle button here controls the distance for the adaptive cruise control, which this is equipped with. I don't believe every model has it, but I think it's standard starting at about the second or third trim level from base. So it starts out fairly early in the packaging. Up here you have, it'll focus, there we go. Up here you have your lighting controls, such as your signal turns and etc. Over here you can see there's a button, and if I can get it to focus, that's really getting to be an issue, isn't it? This also controls your lane keeping, or lane departure. That's what I'm looking for, lane departure stuff. So good to know that is over there, because you will not see a button for it like you normally would, and you will likely hunt around looking for it once it annoys you enough that you want to turn it off. So there you go. Lane departure stuff over there. Over here you have your washer, wipers, etc. So back and forth for the rear, up and down for the front. This controls the speed. Pretty straightforward, not a lot to talk about with that. So we'll jump into the gauge cluster. I like this gauge cluster. It's fairly visible. Once in a while there are times when you can't see it, but those are rare. It's usually because the sun is maybe coming in from behind in the back passenger window or something like that and causing glare to go across. Pretty rare instance. Most of the time this is a very visible screen. I like it. This distorts it a little bit, the camera, because this is a the wide angle lens is kind of bending this a little bit because it's trying to focus on the middle, but all of these are straight and flat to the driver, despite what this looks like. Over here is the tachometer. Over here is the speedometer. Down there is your fuel. Over there is your engine heat, more precisely the coolant heat. Over here is your driver information display, so you can flip through a lot of things there. We'll get to that in 1 second. Let me finish this off. Here's your trip counter. You can see I put 210 miles on this puppy. There are 39 degrees outside. It's actually a pretty warm day for this week. It's been a bitter cold week on a lot of snow, which has been interesting because this R-Line edition is front-wheel drive, which is more fun. You can see I have the park brake on, and you can see that this is the 0 for that trip meter there. Now, looking at this up here, you can see I am, there's an arrow pointing up. It kind of looks like an A, but that's actually an arrow right there. There's an arrow pointing up. That's telling me that my map is oriented in the north. I am facing northwest currently, and that is the engine start-stop, so the auto start-stop for the engine. Right now it's turned off, and that is because it is really cold outside. It's trying to warm the engine up. You can see over there, it hasn't really started yet. It's just gotten going. Over here is what gear you're in, so your gear selection. You can manually shift this with the shift knob, but this normally will just show like reverse drive, etc. Over there is the time. It's accurate. Haha. Down here is whatever you want it to be. So right now it's showing my MPH, which is nice. But you can also check out your driver assist systems, fool around with the compass. So you can change, like, do you want it north oriented, whatever. Over here you have your telephone info, so you can do whatever you're doing with the telephone. Here's your vehicle status, so you can look at different things. You can see the system power needs, etc., is why the engine is running. Driving data. This is an interesting screen. Whoops. Let me go back to that. Whoops. Going the wrong way. Driving data. So I select this screen, and now I can go up and down with those nice little buttons. So you can see I've 727 miles in the data thing, 22 hours of driving, 155 miles of range left on this tank. Fuel economy average has been 22.7. This would be the live fuel economy. Since I'm not moving, there is nothing reading out. This would be the oil temperature, which right now it can't read because the engine has just been started. And so blah, blah. Yeah, you can set speed warning so that it warns you at a certain mile per hour so that you know you're going a little fast and all that good stuff. So really useful screens. There's a lot of good info here. You can flip through them and just find lots of neat stuff. I really like these screens especially because they're just informative, and when you have it on this, it's just a matter of using your thumb to go up and down. So all I'm doing is going like this up and down to look through those menus. So finding the menu here, going up and down with them there, just useful stuff. I like that. So that's the gauge cluster. Moving on, we see this has the upgraded infotainment. So this has more stuff than you would normally see. This is also tri-zone climate. So through this menu here, you can control the rear climate, or there are controls for the rear on the center console, the back of the center console, where people in the back seats can reach it. Yeah. Over here's other stuff. If you have a phone connected, you can flip through images, etc. I don't have my phone plugged in, so there you go. This settings menu here, you're going to use that for a lot of stuff. So this is how you can change things and personalize them. But it's one of those things that you probably use it once, and then once you're done with it, you'll never look at this menu again because you've got it where you want it. So you use it once or twice, and once you got it down, you're finished. Other than that, this is what you see when you push that menu button I just touched there. This goes to the car menu, so you can look at things going on with the vehicle. Some of it's the same information as on that driver information display. Most of it is more useful. So in other words, there's a lot more of this information. So you can look through, you can see different things. Key fobs are keyed to drivers. So right now I have key fob for driver 1. So you can look at individual driving habits. You can set things individually per key fob, etc. We already looked at this tire pressure monitoring, but this is just a lot. Some of the stuff you can do, you can go through and you can look at a lot of stuff. Driving data is kind of fun to look at. You can train yourself to drive better in terms of efficiency, for fuel efficiency and stuff. That's kind of a useful thing. Volkswagen introduced that 1 or 2 years ago. I don't remember which. Then you have radio, media, and other hard buttons going on. So you have a lot of access. Your apps over here, you have to have App Connect, and you have to be plugged in with a USB. That's an FYI. I don't tend to use those things because most of the times those are not apps that I really care about. But if you do own this and you do want to use the App Connect to do certain things like stream from radio stations and so on, there you go, it's there. Down here's the climate control. You can see how the bun warmer's on. I just turned all of this off. I have the auto set to 70. You turn on the auto just hitting that. If you remote start this vehicle, it will turn on the defrosts and it will crank up the heat on those defrosts. That's about the only thing it does automatically. It does not turn on the bun warmers or any of that. Those do stay on, so if I leave this and I shut the engine off right now and then I get out of the car and I remote start it, this will turn on with the remote start. Ditto with that one if it were on when I shut the car down last. Otherwise, this is all pretty much self-explanatory. You can jump to the climate menu right there. Useful button to know, so you can just hit that instead of walking through there. That allows you to change the rear settings and so on. The rear climate locks automatically when you have the defrost on. That's because it forces all of the air to the defrost, shuts off the rest of the climate in the car, so it doesn't blow air anywhere else. And so that would mean you don't want the people in the back seat changing the climate back there while you're trying to clear the front window. Down here you got your Dukes lights. Here's your engine start stop, and over there is the passenger airbag indicator. Down here's a good storage bin. You can see there's a USB and an aux port in there. This is rubberized. You can throw 2, maybe even 3 phones in there. It's a nice good sized bin, and things just kind of drop in, and there you go. And there's also a 12-volt outlet. I don't think I pointed that out. Here is the shifter. Shifts back and forth like you would normally expect, and then as with most Volkswagens, you shove it over to the right and you can have shifting manually as you wish. Electronic brakes. This does not have the performance stuff, for the hill hold or any of that stuff. That would be right here. This turns off automatically if you shift into gear and then press the throttle. Otherwise, it stays on all the time. Here's your parking indicators. This turns the parking on and off. This would have a control pad if this were the more upgraded infotainment, FYI. Over here, big gulp holders. These hold actual big gulps, as well as small stuff like this. Looking just quickly at the rest of this, this is, again, a slightly lower end package, so it is not as advanced as some of the upper end, but it's still really pretty. If I can get a good angle on it, this is pretty faux wood. Really well done. Nice kind of a mahogany looking thing going on, plus this brushed nickel and stuff up here. I like the overall look. It's plain, as is Volkswagen's want, but it's not terrible. It's not ugly. And then there's a two-tone going on, so you can see there's that lighter color and this darker going on. I like the perforated leather Here, I like these seats. They're good and comfortable seats, surprisingly. They're big, so big people like me, at 6'3", I don't feel like I've been shoved into a tiny little race car seat. Even though these have good bolstering and just a great design, they did a really good job with this. Big center console, lots of space in there. See another USB. And then back here, if you can see it, there's the climate controls on the bottom of that. And there's the back seats. So this has the bench seat. The last one that I drove had the captain's chairs. I much prefer captain's chairs, even though it deletes that one extra seating position, drops you down to 6 in here, because it makes getting to that third row easier. But I will say those flips, so up there, right there on that seat, you pull that back, there's one on the other one too, and the seat pulls forward and tilts up and gives lots of door access. About a third of that door is entry now to get into the back. So for kids, that's plenty of room to climb into the back there. And you can see that third row going on. There's a decent amount of cargo space in here with that third row up. I don't remember the exact number. If I do remember to do it, I will write it down there to let you know. But this has a lot of cargo space. Like most crossovers in this segment, it aims for 3 things. It needs to haul people really comfortably, and a lot of people really comfortably. It needs to have plenty of cargo and storage space, and it needs to be ergonomic for daily driving. The Volkswagen Atlas fits all of that. So this is Aaron from AaronOnAutos.com, and this has been a tour of the interior of the 2018 Volkswagen Atlas in its R-Line package. All right, that's all I've got. Talk to you again soon.